once again to our SABC journalist Vanessa Poonah, who is on Ridge Road at Knysna Heights. Vanessa, let's just get a final update from you here on Morning Live. I'm sure you'll be on throughout the day on our SABC News channel. But just in terms of the feeling amongst the people that are there, I mean, I can only imagine it being such a dramatic event, many people losing absolutely everything they have. What is it like? I mean, just being on the ground there.
Leanne, yes, good morning to you again. Here in Knysna, scenes of utter devastation. Here in Ridge Drive, we believe in Knysna Heights, over 40 homes have been gutted in this section alone. If you can just take a look and see to my right, one of the homes behind me, totally burnt, Leanne. We've also seen scenes like this throughout the town here in Knysna, as well as in Sedgefield and also in Plettenberg Bay. And then also just a sense this morning driving through the town, quite a bit of traffic as people try to pick up their lives again after a couple of days that were absolutely devastating to them. Lots of people having lost everything. If I can also show you to my left-hand side, Leanne, just another house. As a matter of fact, it's almost the entire row of homes on my left-hand side that have been gutted. And then if I can also just show you a bit further afield in the dense foresty area as well, you can still see plumes of smoke rising out as firefighters have really done an inhuman task to bring this fire not only under control but largely put out here in the Knysna area. We've learned from the fire chief overnight, people still calling in to report that there are still some embers burning, and they've told us that this will take place at least for the next couple of days. Teams will be monitoring the situation here in Knysna to damp down and mop up. Those operations will be taking place throughout the day. But really a sense of people coming together in a time of great need, Leanne. Many of the people that we've been speaking to have been telling us that they've lost everything. Relief centres were in full swing. Humanitarian aid have been coming through to the Knysna, Sedgefield, George, as well as Plettenberg Bay areas. We also know that lots of those humanitarian relief efforts are still continuing today, Leanne, trying to get the resources, whether it's food, blankets, clothing, to those in need. And then assessments are taking place today. If I just have a look behind me as well again, I mean, you know, if you get a sense of these homes that were totally gutted, you can only but imagine the extent of the damages to the infrastructure. A short while ago, the acting municipal manager, they're telling us as well that assessments are taking place today. It's estimated that in the Brenton-on-Sea area, damages expected to run into millions of rand, I think at the last count up until 30 million. But a clearer sense of the work that the municipal teams need to be doing today is starting as we speak. We know that many overhead cables, electricity cables have been totally gutted and damaged. Also water pipes, lots of leakages that have been reported, and Knysna, of course, being already having been declared a disaster area when it comes to water. These resources are really needed at this point in time. So yes, it's going to be a matter of the municipality or local authorities taking stock of the damages caused over the past few days, and now the work, I think, begins, Leanne, with regards to residents trying to pick up the pieces of their lives, many having to go back to work, to go back to school. And also this morning we were at the Lurie Park, where a temporary hospital has been set up after the Knysna hospital was evacuated, remains evacuated. We're not quite sure exactly when operations will commence there again. The hospital itself wasn't damaged, but as a precaution, those patients taken away and evacuated. So yes, definitely Knysna is still a town coming to grips with what we've seen over the past few days, a massive, massive fire. Speaking to some firemen saying that even if they live until 100, they doubt whether they'll see the kind of flames and the kind of devastation that they've seen in Knysna over the past few days. So as the sun rises over Knysna today, still plumes of smoke coming up there, Leanne, but nothing to worry about. Firefighters telling us that they are monitoring. They do still have aerial assistance on standby if it needs be. Then they'll still be using those helicopters from the various agencies as well as the South African Defence Force. But yes, this largely is the picture that you see in the Knysna area. Here in Ridgeway, where we are at the moment, Ridge Drive, total devastation, and it takes a superhuman effort, Leanne, to pick up pieces after this kind of fire that has gutted just about everything people own.
Okay, Vanessa, I'm just going to just query you a little bit, and we'll try and keep the answers quite short, just so we can get through quite a bit. But just in terms of the surrounding areas, you did speak about the I think Sedgefield as one of the areas you mentioned that was really quite devastatingly burnt there. I know that there are a lot of retirement homes there. There are a lot of people, whether it be retirement or holiday making, all happening in that area. I imagine you've taken a trip there. How bad is it?
Leanne, when we've seen what we've seen over 10,000 people evacuated. So yes, indeed, it would have been retirement homes, it would have been private homes that have been evacuated. Like I said, driving through to Knysna, Sedgefield, even as far as Plettenberg Bay. A couple of months ago, I saw a greenery, but what I saw over the past couple of days, Leanne, was indeed devastation. So yes, a lot of elderly people in retirement homes that would have been evacuated. Yeah. Many have returned back to their residences, but those that have lived, for example, in this area, there's no way that they can return back to the shells of the homes that once were. So it's going to take at least a couple of days of counting the costs, Leanne, which we can expect to run into hundreds of millions of rands. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take quite a while to have to see this area coming back to what it once was. Knysna, George, Sedgefield, Plettenberg Bay, the whole Eden district is a huge tourism draw card. People from across the world come and holiday here. Locals from across South Africa choose to come here. It's really going to take a mammoth effort and task firstly to get the tourism structures back up again, but also for people to return to their homes and just carry on with normal everyday living.
The area of Buffalo Bay, and I know that was something that was really making headlines over this weekend. People actually had left their homes and were setting up camp on beaches just to try and get away from the flames. Any updates on Buffalo Bay, the damage there, and what we're gathering from you is that seems like everything's under control there?
Yes, Leanne, we've spoken to the fire chief this morning. Everything is under control as far as active fires are concerned. So at this point in time, it's just monitoring, even in Buffalo Bay as well. They are monitoring flare-ups overnight, sometimes when the wind picks up, and that happens generally at night. People will be reporting some embers still burning. The firefighters and the fire teams then going out to have a look at that. But largely, no further evacuations, we've been told, no further damage to property, no further loss of life, thank goodness, because we know we've already sadly and tragically lost 7 people in this fire, but the authorities telling us this morning that now it's mopping up, now the focus will turn to mopping up operations, the focus will turn to assessing the damage, and then also the focus will turn to getting people back into to their jobs, their work, back into schools, getting people sorted out in terms of what they may still need with regards to basic necessities, just to carry on with their lives here in the Knysna, Sedgefield, George, Plettenberg Bay areas.
What about schooling? Because I do know that we've had reports of schools that have been burnt down. I mean, in Port Elizabeth, that was a massive story that throughout the weekend, I mean, we saw teachers, parents of some of the school children going to the school, doing the best that they can to salvage what they could. What about schooling? Are we finding that that's being completely disrupted now? Any schools have been affected in those areas?
Leanne, I can't tell you at this point whether any schools have been burnt in this area specifically, but I can tell you that with lots of people being uprooted, with lots of families not knowing exactly where to next, I can expect that the number of absentees or absenteeism could be reported today as schools reopen in this area. We haven't had any reports of schools that were closed indefinitely over this time, specifically here in the town of Knysna. It's also something that we'll be keeping our eye closely on as we go into this new week, and also once we speak to the education authorities.
Yeah, and just one more question, and I think quite an important one, because I know that Palesa Vanessa did ask you in the previous interview as well, there are so many rumours doing the rounds and so many people claiming that there's more to these fires than what meets the eyes. I know that we've been talking about the fact that it's been the natural forces that have been at play, but others are claiming that there is some form of mischievous arson behind it, that people have been caught throwing petrol on the ground, lighting fires. I don't know if you've heard any of, I imagine you've heard the rumours, but just in terms of officials, what they have to say, I mean, is there any truth to these rumours?
Leanne, I can only expect that a full investigation will be launched, but we do know that there have been many rumours circulated on social media, as I said in the previous crossing to Palesa as well. At this stage, authorities are not saying or not confirming arson. At this point, it is as a result of the gusting winds. And Leanne, if anybody has driven along through the garden route, you'd know that it's large distances between towns. Now, we've heard that the winds were gushing at 97 kilometers per hour. Now, with that kind of wind pushing the flames over, the authorities are saying that they can understand that at this point it is because of the weather conditions that have spurred on these massive raging fires here in the Garden District. So with regards to the arson reports, Leanne, it has not been confirmed by neither the police nor the fire department or the fire authorities. So at this stage, people and the public is being urged to please take the news from reliable news sources such as ourselves, the SABC, and other reputable news organizations, because on Twitter, and social media, largely people can say what they want to. We've also, my editor, as a matter of fact, has received a voice note coming from a woman a couple of days ago claiming that trucks along the N2 are being sabotaged and people are petrol bombing it. No. The authorities this morning still telling us that that's absolute nonsense, using the fire chief's words exactly. So please, just a word of caution then to the public, even in the wake of this disaster, even in the aftermath, please be very specific or very careful about what news you are consuming, because lots of it making the rounds on social media at this point in time is simply not true. It's what we would term fake news. Yeah. So the reliable news sources would be coming from the authorities here in Knysna and its surrounds.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Vanessa, for giving us a little bit of clarity about that, because it seems that that's all people are talking about at the moment. But like Vanessa said, let's get down to leave it to the authorities to determine what is behind that. But that's our reporter, Vanessa Poonah. She's coming to us from Knysna, talking to us about the situation and how devastating it really is. So just continuing with that story, authorities